Okay, Greg Vigiano, if you can monitor the uh, waiting room and let people in, I would appreciate it.
Yep, doing it now.
Super. All right, we're going to get started. Good afternoon. Welcome to O-Scale Central's online program for October 27, 2024. I'm David Vaughn. I'm the president of O-Scale Central. Our organization promotes two-rail O-Scale and supports modelers in the scale. Information about O-Scale Central and more general information about the scale is available on our website, oscalecentral.com. That's oscalecentral.com. Our monthly programs generally consist of new product discussions by O-Scale two-rail manufacturers and other people making news or turning heads in the O-Scale two-rail community, as well as layout tours and other features and news. Our guests over the past 2 years have included, by way of example, Andy Edelman of Atlas, Scott Mann of Sunset Third Rail, Norm Buckhart of Protocraft, Jay Criswell of Right Away Industries, Sarah Griesenbach of 3D Print fame, Dan Dowdy of O-Scale Resource, Dylan Lambert of Lambert Locomotive Works, Matt Herman of 3D Central, Brad Kowal for the Chicago March Meet, John Wubble of All Nation, and many more, as well as tours of some of the best layouts in the scale. We give you news you can use and current happenings in the scale. And I want to mention right at the outset that next month, I think it's November 17, our headliner will be Tony Custer. And Tony is working on a new O-Scale two-rail Wabash railroad project layout, and he's going to tell us all about that. O-Scale Central sponsors these programs and makes them available to the entire O-Scale two-rail community. Our invitations go out to all 6,400 addressees on Dan Doughty's mail list, in addition to several other O-Scale lists, and of course our own members. We hope that you see the value in what we're doing for O-Scale two-rail and support us with membership and contributions, but you need not be a member in order to participate in this online program. We welcome visitors. Most programs are recorded and are available on YouTube. So if you miss them the first time around, you can go back and get them. Links are available through O-Scale Central's website. That's oscalecentral.com. This meeting is a little different than our usual fare because this is the annual membership meeting for O-Scale Central. Invitations have gone to our members, but we're an open organization and everyone in the O-Scale community is invited as a guest. Article 9 of our bylaws provides for an annual membership meeting. The date, time, and platform for this meeting has been approved by the O-Scale Central Board of Directors, and notice of such meeting has been sent out to our membership in advance. I ask that the annual meeting be called to order. Our secretary, Ken Nesper, is present. Since the quorum for an annual meeting is simply a majority of members present, I don't know that a formal roll call is necessary. The bylaws mandate reports to our membership at this meeting, and we want to use this opportunity to report to our members and to all other members of the O-Scale community where the organization is, where we think it's going, and what we think the scale is going on a wider focus. Officers of O-Scale Central serve 2-year terms. Half the board is elected each year. Terms begin January 1st. The bylaws provide for nominations and elections committee to nominate candidates for open board slots. The bylaws also direct that we introduce nominees to the O-Scale membership at the annual meeting. That's now, and it'll be my pleasure to do so. We're going to keep it brief and allow opportunity at the end of the business part of the program for members to introduce themselves, provide feedback and questions for us, as well as providing some brief presentations on your current projects and questions. What is on each of your workbenches is going to be a question of the day. We will try and keep the formal part of the program fairly brief, with the feedback, questions, introductions, and reports to follow. This meeting is particularly important for me, as I will be stepping down as president of O-Scale Central at the end of this year after 4 years in office and a number of years before that working to revitalize the organization. It's been a great ride. We've built a great leadership team, tripled our membership, developed a scale-wide product and service guide, vastly upgraded our website to provide effective introduction to the scale for newbies and converts from other scale, developed some nifty marketing tools, and built strong relationships with organizations important to O-Scale, including O-Scale Research, Source, Chicago March Meet, the 3D printing community, NMRA. We are NMRA special interest groups for O-Scale. We've been working closely with Nutrax, and we've worked closely with Katie and others in the development of their O-Scale truck line, and we've been expanding our presence in the railroad prototype modeler meets. We're almost at launch for a members-only directory to improve communications and interactions between O-Scalers. We've been marketing the scale to modelers and other scales and started a round robin for O-Scale 2-rail clubs. We've been beating the drum for emerging 3D print revolutions, which will benefit O-Scale 2-rail far more than any other scale. Going forward, tooling costs, minimum orders, and held inventories will be history. Fidelity to scale, unparalleled detail, and greatly expanded availability is coming. We've expanded a marketing and advertising program to raise the profile of O-Scale 2-rail, and we've been upgrading our website and membership programs. Even after these expenses, we have over $10,000 in the bank, so we are financially stable. We are hoping and expecting a very high percentage of our members to renew and to keep building the financial kitty that we have so we can do more to call attention to the scale. Our bylaws call for reports from officers and committee chairs at the annual meeting. And in the interest of time, I do not intend to have separate presentations, but I do want to introduce officers and committee chairs who are present, and for the question and answer segment of the meeting, they will be available to answer questions in their respective terms, areas of concentrations. I want to introduce our Vice President, Skylar Shippey. We'll talk more about him and hear from him later on. Our Secretary, Ken Nesper, is present, as is our Treasurer, Joe Norman, and several members of the Board of Directors, including Joe Barker, our outgoing Board of Director member, David Schultz, is on the call. We thank him for his service. Paul Hansen, our Proto 48 advisor, Scott Krasuski, our web advisor, and I am almost certainly missing some people. Oh, Dennis Brennan, our manufacturer liaison, from whom we will hear a little later, and Rich Randall, who has been serving as our modular coordinator, are all on the call, and I want to thank them for their support for the organization. There's a lot more that the organization needs to do for the scale. and our present leadership team will be augmented by new office holders to take effect January 1st. I thank Nominations and Elections Committee Chair Nick Bulgarino for his work. Nick is actually out earning money this afternoon, and as a classical musician, you got to let them go do that every chance they get. So it will be my pleasure to introduce the nominees, for which the ballots will be sent out at the end of the month, and all members in good standing will have the opportunity to vote. I hope that you will avail yourselves of that responsibility. Up for election are the officers of president, secretary, and 2 directors. I am not running, as I indicated. Nominated to replace me as our present vice president, Skylar Shippey, about whom I will speak more in a minute. Nominated to continue in office is our present secretary, Ken Nesper. Ken does a great job keeping us organized and compliant with procedural requirements. He really makes the organization much better, much more productive, and I thank him for his work. Also nominated are 2 directors, Joe Barker, who's presently on the board and who admirably handles our membership, and Nick Bulgarino, who was our former secretary. He is nominated to fill the spot being vacated by David Schultz, who is not seeking re-election, as indicated. I thank David for his work. As I indicated, the nominee for president is Skylar Shippey. I'm delighted to introduce him as my successor. He's not yet elected, but he has been approved by the nominations committee. Skylar is, as I said, presently the vice president of the organization. He is a professional engineer by training, a graduate of University of Michigan, and a nickel plate modeler. That is a hands down threefer in my book. So I am particularly pleased to have Skylar nominated. Skylar serves also as president of the Detroit Model Railroad Club in Holly, chairs the Revitalizing Cleveland O-Scale Show, is the membership director for the Nickel Plate Road Historical and Technical Society, and an active O-Scale 2-rail modeler. He has the enthusiasm of youth, but O-Scale 2-rail experience beyond his years. They say if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. I'm pleased to introduce Skylar to say hi and introduce himself to the organization and tell us a little bit about where he sees the organization going. Skylar, welcome.
Thank you, David. I'll keep this under 15 minutes, I promise. Afternoon, everybody. As mentioned by David, I wear many hats in an effort to promote and preserve both this hobby and the scale. The efforts by David and the O-Scale Central leadership have developed an organization that is highly active and has a very strong foundation. My primary experience in O-Scale 2-rail has been through the Detroit Model Railroad Club, of which I'm the current president and have been a member since 2007. In addition, I've also toured many O-Scale 2-rail layouts and operate on quite a few as well. I've experienced all the positive aspects of visiting, working on, and operating on other layouts. It's made me a better modeler and has created many friendships nationwide. My outlook on the organization and this hobby in the future directly relates to promoting the connection between modelers and between organizations. A long-term goal of mine is to create a database for our membership that contains documented O-Scale 2-rail layouts. The history of our scale can only be passed down to future modelers by documenting what is out there today. David, thank you again for your direction of this organization. My sole intention is to build off the foundation you and the leadership have created. Thank you.
Thank you, Skylar. And this is a busy job. It comes at a busy time, and I trust that everyone will give Skylar and the remaining both present members and new members of the board their support. I will remain on the board in the position of past president. That is a position that every member of the board of directors would aspire to at some point, being the former or alum or emeritus officer. So I look forward to putting that new hat on, and I look forward to continuing to be involved and to support Skylar and everything that he's doing. So that is what we need to put out there, and what we need to do, if we can, is to get feedback from you. You trust us with your dues money, and you trust us to try and represent the scale and the organization in a positive light. So what we would like to do is to hear from you all in terms of the things that you'd like to give us by way of feedback. And we have thick skin, so if it's something that hey, you guys are really screwing up, we can hear you. And we would like to get whatever feedback there is. If you have questions for us, as I'm on the call, Skylar is on the call, our treasurer is on the call. I neglected to introduce Walter Horlacher, who is not only on the board of directors, but is also our marketing head. If you have questions or feedback for him, by all means, we'd love to hear it. And this is a little bit cumbersome with having questions. And so what I'd like to do to try and create some kind of structure is to start at the beginning of the alphabet, and people who are sort of on the front end ask questions or make comments first, and then we will proceed through the middle and end of the alphabet. This is feedback time. This is separate from the introductions that we're going to do of each and all of you who choose to provide feedback and tell us what's on your workbench. This is a feedback for the membership and for observers to tell us what your concerns are and what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. So I'd like to start with that, and let's start with the A's and the B's and the C's. Comments or questions? Moving along further into the alphabet. F's and G's and H's. More into the middle.
Hello, this is Jerry Ingram. I think I'm an I. And anyway, I noticed that there was one other Alameda, California individual. Mr. Barker, if you're out there, I think we live in the same town.
I'm here.
Actually, we may very well live across the street. I didn't know that. But anyway, I'm over at the Fern side. I don't know where you are, but
Okay. Bay Farm Island.
okay, great. Then I'd have to swim to get over there, or go over the bridge, one or the other. But it was good to see at least one other person from the left coast in the audience. This is only my second Zoom meeting with you folks, and I'm looking forward to continuing to participate. So that's about all that I have in the way of comments. I had some questions about some problems I'm experiencing that are sitting on the workbench. I'm not sure when that'll be appropriate. But
we'll move on from here and be happy to receive that at the sort of the next segment of the program. I note, by the way, that O Scale West is a hallowed institution that appears to have fallen on hard times. And we are much in need of revitalizing our West Coast presence and see if we can come up with an active show and an active community out there. So Jeff, I'm sorry, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are at all interested in that, please reach out and work with Joe Barker to try and make that happen.
Well, will do.
Thank you.
No, I was at O Scale West this year, and we were not well attended, I think. From in talking to some of the other participants who were there, I enjoyed myself immensely. I mean, gosh, it was a chance to get together with the Orange County O Scalers who have a modular layout. At least we did at that show. And I would certainly hope that O Scale West continues, and anything I could do to help continue to promote it and get more people to it. It really needed a little more attendance than what we had.
It did. Further comments or questions as we work through the alphabet? This is the O Scale community is not usually this quiet. Usually you all have opinions, sometimes multiple opinions on the same subject from the same person. What I'd like to do then, and I don't want to try too much or too little, but we have some terrific officers and some terrific programs, and I want to make sure that Dennis Brennan, who is now our manufacturer liaison, says a few words about his program and the kind of help and support he may need from you. Dennis is not only our manufacturer liaison, but is a manufacturer himself. And I'd like to have Dennis introduce himself and say a couple of things about what the manufacturer liaison is going to be working on. Dennis?
Oh, hi, guys. I'm Dennis Brennan from Brennan's Model Railroading, and like David said, I'm a small manufacturer. I produce kits and scenery products. I also do scenery work on layouts for people. And as the manufacturer's liaison, I just want to thank David and Jim Kello for turning David on to asking me about doing this. I think there's a great opportunity here for people like myself, a small guy, because let's face it, this hobby was started by individuals, small guys like us, and some of them working out of a garage. I am working out of a garage. And I think the problem is we don't get heard. And so I think if I can get a bunch of us together, there's a lot of synergy that can happen with numbers. And so what I'd like to do is create a think tank, if that's what you want, if you think about it, where we can get together and discuss issues maybe that we've had, or problems that individuals have, and that maybe one of us can help another one. And maybe as a group, there's some advertising possibilities. I mean, it's open. So right now, I am contacting small manufacturers like Andrew, who we'll talk to later. I don't know if he wants to say a few words, but I'm going to see if he will. I think that won't be a problem. I've talked to 4 or 5 people now, and Andrew agreed to come on today, and I was hoping to get more, but you know, it's not always that easy. So as far as marketing and things, I think I could get together with Walter, and maybe Walter and I can dream up some things that I can do to help.
How do
Well,
do
certainly,
people
we
get
can
in-
brainstorm that.
how do people get in touch with you, Dennis?
You can get in touch with me through my website, or at Dennis at brennan'smodelrr.com. And if you look up Brennan's Model Railroad on on the internet, you'll find me. I'll also in the chat, I can put my phone number, and I'll put my web address. So please, if you know anybody that's a small manufacturer that I should talk to, let me know. And then I guess we also have a place on our site for manufacturers' names, right? Isn't there some place on O-Scale Central where manufacturers are listed with their logos? At least I thought I saw that someplace.
Yes,
I don't even know how to get somebody on there. So I need to talk to someone about that.
certainly. We will work with you on that, and you can be the liaison to manufacturers. I see Jeff Thornton has his hand up. Jeff, what you got?
Well, I'm just wondering what type of lobbying does the organization do with all manufacturers, larger manufacturers? You know, Otis on occasion comes out with an O-Scale 2-rail product. And I'm just wondering what kind of communication is there between larger manufacturers and the hobbyist? You know, I've been a long time since I've been to O-Scale specific shows, probably 20 years, to Chicago and Cleveland. But, you know, and Dennis is looking to do it on the smaller scale, but, you know, currently I model in O and 30, and basically the only manufacturer there has been the past has been in plastic has been Bachman. And I'm just wondering what kind of communications is there between people, and are there members of this organization that work for those companies, or can you help me out on it a little bit?
Well, those are the
I
kind
can
of
help.
things that I need to find out. Okay. And before I approach any larger manufacturers, I need to figure out the program here. But I'm open to suggestions from anybody. That's why I'm here. So,
One of the things, I don't know whether O-Scale Central is a member or not, but the Hobby Manufacturers Association will give a nonprofit a free membership to that organization. Within that organization, there is a model railroad group, and they have meetings and so forth. They had one, I think, a week or so ago. Bachman was there. I think Atlas was there. Walters was there. The large manufacturers in the hobby were there, basically. And I learned a lot from it. Nutrax has been a member now for a couple of years. They have an electronic bulletin board kind of program, and they just hired somebody to take care of their digital marketing. And we've been able to post some of our activities on there, and they've been very responsive to supporting our scholarship and supporting the various things that we're doing. O-Scale Central, if you're not a member, you might want to consider joining. Like I say, nonprofits are free membership, but it certainly would get you involved with some of the large corporations in the hobby easily through that separate segment of that organization that is model railroading.
Thank you. Good suggestion, and I'm sure Dennis will follow up on that.
absolutely. Yep. Thank you, Jim. That's a very good suggestion.
You can also approach Martin Breckbiel, and former editor for O-Scale Railroading and also Dan Dowdy with O-Scale Resource. I mean, they have, I think, quite a few manufacturers that advertise, and might be a good way to get introductions from them.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Jerry Ingram had his hand up.
Hi.
Jerry?
Hey, I have a question for the general public. I have been up and down Atlas's website. And is there any major manufacturer making two rail O-scale equipment? Honestly, I don't see anything on Atlas. I don't think Walters does anything. You know, and because MTH and a couple of the others have been folded into other companies, there seems to be an absolute absence of major manufacturers making products. So mostly I'm having to go to eBay or whatever to try to find what I'm interested in modeling or acquiring. That's a question, somewhat long-winded. Anybody provide perspective on that?
Doesn't Atlas O make scale rolling stock?
Not that I'm aware of. I keep
Well,
seeing
I see it at shows
rail.
all the time.
Yeah, but it's usually stuff that's left over from previous runs. I don't know. For example, I look up their new.
No. Atlas is very much engaged into O-scale 3-rail and 2-rail. You might not be, if you look up if you look up Atlas O-scale LLC, they are making product, and they're very much engaged in O-scale, both 2-rail and 3-rail scale equipment.
Okay, where on their website do you find their two rail O-scale product list?
Just go when you go on the computer, just put Atlas O-scale.
Two rail?
And go make sure you go to their website, Atlas.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yes,
I have been there, and I have been unable to find 2-rail products.
Yeah, they have N-scale list, HO list, and an O-scale list, but they're alive and well. I can assure
O-scale
you.
3-rail, but 2-rail.
Oh no, they got 2-rail. You keep scrolling down, you'll find that they list both their products in 3-rail and 2-rail.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it. Okay.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were there?
A couple days ago. In fact, I just pre-ordered some center flow hoppers in 2-rail.
Walter,
Okay.
can you put a link in the chat for Jerry?
I really like where specifically their 2-rail list is.
On their main corporate website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's what the problem is that when you look at a O-scale product line, you look at a particular locomotive or car, they list all the variations as you go down, but they start with the 3-rail models. And if you take that particular product and you scroll down, you'll find the same product usually available in 2-rail. It's just a little bit harder to find, and you gotta watch they have a marker that says whether it's 3-rail or 2-rail now. And you just got to watch that as you scroll down, and you'll find the 2-rail products that they're proposing to do.
Mm-hmm. Are there anybody else out there besides Atlas and my problems with their website that are doing O-scale 2-rail products?
Well, Jerry, you got to take a look and see the quality of what some of the manufacturers have done. I mean, Rail King, MTH, Lionel, they've gotten away from the toy train look. A lot of their stuff is becoming more scale, and there's a lot of manufacturers predominantly in S scale that came forward and produced a car and provide both sets of trucks, toy trucks and scale trucks, American Models, S Helper Service. All you do is swap out the trucks and you've got a scale unit.
I appreciate that. Okay. But besides Atlas, and if they really are doing a 2-rail product line out there, and I'll have to go back in and look, is there anyone else? MTH has kind of walked away, I mean, from anything. whether it be three rail, or otherwise. They
Sunset,
got sued by somebody.
Sunset Third Rail
Yes.
produces regularly.
Yeah. I know about Sunset. We don't live that far away from each other. Okay, believe me. But other than that, that's it. Sunset and Atlas. That's the end. Currently. Oh well. Let's get off this and move on to something else. I'll beat on it some more elsewhere.
But further questions, comments? I'd like to get a brief overview from Walter Horlacher, who is working in our marketing as our marketing director, and have him give a little bit of what's up with marketing.
Good
Well,
evening,
Walter.
everybody. My name is Walter Horlacher, and I've taken over the marketing aspect back around February of 2024. So I've been at it for 9 months, and my primary focus has been on mostly ads and print product. And I did do a year-end report, and it's a very brief report. It breaks down where we're spending our funds and where we're advertising at. And basically, we've been advertising in several publications: Model Railroad Craftsman, Narrow Gauge Gazette, Cowcatcher Magazine. We also advertise in O-Scale Trains, which now has O-Scale Trains Annual, and also a companion publication, the ON30 Annual. And we do advertise in all those publications, to include the NMRA magazine. All these publications are published by White River Publications, except for the Cowcatcher magazine. This is a relatively new magazine. Well, it's been around for about 10 years, but it's new for us, and we just started advertising in there this past year. I can give you a brief rundown. Our total budget expenditures for the year is $2,435. The ultimate goal of our advertising is to drive up membership numbers. But to do this, it's imperative that we keep things fresh by introducing new designs, newly designed ads, and more substance in our ads. You have maybe seen some recent changes of late with regards to the NMRA magazine, where we introduced to a reader our most tangible benefit of joining O-Scale Central, and that is our quarterly e-newsletter, The Coupler. I've also been incorporating QR codes that make it easier for the reader to navigate to our website. Brief rundown, O-Scale Trains Annuals. Let's see, O-Scale Trains has been recently transitioned to O-Scale Trains Annual 2024 and complements their second annual publication, the ON30 Annual 2024. These pair of publications were first published to have our first publications to introduce our 1/3 page advertising. We have been doing 1/8 page advertising, but in these publications, we do a 1/3 page advertising. And both of them are the same formats, but they're keyed to the individual readers. We did introduce the tagline, "Stay up to date with all things 148." Both ads are reasonably priced at $280 each, especially when you factor in these annual publications are available at newsstands, hobby shops, and online all year long. These annuals are appealing to both the seasoned modeler and also serve as a sort of premiere for individuals new to the scale. I believe these publications will offer the most value for our advertising dollar. And I've already reached out to White River Publications for their 2025 annuals, where we'll be focused also on, for example, in the ON30 Annual, we are definitely going to plug to see them at the National O-Scale Convention. So we will have that included in our ad.
One of
Gazette.
Oh, yes, one of the things that I want to make sure everybody understands in terms of the advertising premises, we think O-Scale is an absolutely fantastic scale. Everybody on the call, I'm sure, shares that. But most people outside of our O-scale community may not know that O-scale 2-rail even exists. We show modular layouts, and we have people come up at an all-scale show and say, "Where's the rail going down the middle of the track?" So part of it is just getting on the radar for the larger hobby. We think that everybody in another scale is a potential convert. And what we're trying to do is to raise the visibility of the scale to make sure that people see it. And so there's outreach, but we're starting with advertising and accessing the internet and so on. And Walter is doing a great job in that regard. We need to move along. So Walter, if you got any concluding remarks, if anybody has questions for Walter, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, we will move on.
I just would like to add that I did send out a report of our marketing to all key board members. But if any individual would like to see a copy of this, just contact me and I'll send you the PDF. And like I said, we are targeting individuals. Nothing works much better for our marketing than point of contact. You can advertise in all your magazines, but point of contact is your most valuable asset of bringing new members into the organization.
Thank you, Walter.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else in terms of board members, officers, committee chairs need to add anything? I certainly wanted to make sure that Dennis Brennan got introduced and to make sure that Walter Horlacher has been introduced. I do want to have Scott Kay, who is our web designer, give us about a 2-minute tour of our website, oscalecentral.com. He's been doing some great stuff, and this is a real resource for the entire scale. Scott, I saw you there before. You still there?
Yep. Hi, David.
Good
So
afternoon.
the website has been coming along good. We've made several additions throughout the year to keep it up to date. The events page of O-scale or O-scale 2-rail related events is generally pretty much up to date. We also supply, like I said, we added to our resource section some instruction manuals as they get submitted by people. They don't necessarily have to be members, but anyone that submits, that wants to submit 2-rail documentation related to reference material, we're happy to post that. Also, we have we added to the O-scale manufacturers area. We added a whole section on trolleys and rapid transit. I don't know if you need more than that. We are working on a new way for members to join and renew, as well as working on a new member database so that members can reach out and find where other members, 2-rail O-scalers are located throughout the world, because we are international.
Two other things, if you would. One would be tell us just a bit about the product and service guide. And second, tell us the material that is there as an introduction for people curious about the scale or considering changing.
Okay, the product and service guide section is located under one of our top level menus on our website, our oscalecentral.com website. And that we have a series, all kinds of manufacturers, from not just, 2-rail rolling stock or locomotives, but we also have scenery, electrical, track, even the traction area has things like overhead wire. information. So it's very thorough, and multiple manufacturers, and even for example, drives, even trolley drives versus regular locomotive drives. Companies like Northwest Shortline, for example, is one of those manufacturers. Therefore, you can find them in our under that area. So they're all if they supply multiple uses, for example, let's say Jay Criswell's company right away that has multiple different that one vendor supplies multiple different topics. For example, he supplies track work, but he also does drives, okay, as just two examples. I think he even does more items on that, spikes and things like that. So all that is interconnected within the website. So you'll see him show up, his company show up on both the he'll show up on track work as well as the drives area under our vendor supplier area.
Hey,
Let
Scott,
me
I have
add
a
something.
question. Is there still any plans to offer like a 3D model catalog on the website?
That's been talked about. I don't know that, I mean, I don't have any immediate plans of doing that because I don't have any information on that just yet from people who are going to design it. As far as, how they want it to look, I mean, we can certainly offer that, but, we have a 3D section under the manufacturer's area. Therefore, you can find the people like Train Kitchen, for example, Sarah Grease and Box Company. She would show up under that. So,
Well, this was more of a repository where the website would have 3D models that were available for free download. I was talking with Dan Dowdy about that last year. I just didn't know if anything moved forward, but we can talk separately.
Sure. Yeah. Nothing to answer your question right now. There's nothing in the works for something like that I know of right now. Dan, I know, has been integral in working with our new member login section. Now he may say, may come up and transition into that once that's completed, but that has some hurdles that we need to overcome. And we're just about done with that. So maybe the next level the next big item for a database item will be that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
And let me call to the attention of the audience the chat feature. Some of you may or may not be up to speed on the chat feature on Zoom, but down at the bottom of the screen is a little logo that says chat, and we have right now 10 comments from people answering questions, providing more detail, and take a look at that and keep up on it before the end of the program today. Thank you for adding comments to inform and answer questions that people may have. If there are no more questions or comments
David?
coming, yeah.
Eric Peterson here. I just wanted to expand on what Scott had said and encourage everybody to spend some time actually exploring on the website. There is a tremendous amount of information that is accumulated there already, from basics about O-scale two-rail modeling to, as he mentioned, there's some old copies of directions for kits, things like that. The product guide, how to get started. There's some stuff about two-rail conversion to three-rail models. I would really encourage you to spend some time going there and just exploring and looking around on the different tabs. And also, all of our contact information is there. If you just want to contact the organization, just go to the bottom of the homepage. There's a contact opportunity, and that comes to me, and I'm up to date on those every day. And there's also, under the leadership organization, there's contact information for each one of our leaders, board members, people like that. So it's out there. Just please take a look at it. I think you'd be surprised. oscalecentral.com.
Thank you. And it's sort of that's a great suggestion, by the way. I've tried to work oscalecentral.com into a variety of comments here, so everybody gets a handle on it. For starters, it has a list of all upcoming OScale events, and it also has this product and service guide. So the question before from Jerry was, who's making OScale 2-rail equipment? We have 200 vendors and manufacturers listed in the product and service guide. And it is searchable by category. So if you want to find out, who's making OScale freight cars or OScale passenger trucks, you can search that way. We are always looking for more input and updates, but since the Walthers large scale catalog left us many years ago, and the neighborhood hobby shop that might have been able to help you before is no longer there. We have been developing this product and service guide, and I think it may answer some of your questions. If there's nothing else, then I want to, and I'm listening for something else. If anybody has any more comments or questions, great, let's hear it. Otherwise, we'd like to be a sounding board for you all. And if you have projects that you'd like to share with us, if you've got questions that you'd like to share with us, if you just want to tell us what's on your workbench. I love that phrase from Bruce Blackwood from several years ago, and I think that's always a fun part of these programs, and I'm happy to ask. Now, Eric, you had indicated at one point that you thought you might be able to, in effect, MC this segment of the program. I know that you've got a reception which is not necessarily stable. Is that something you can undertake, or is that something you all right?
I can do it.
Please do.
You guys you can hear me okay, I hope, and we'll go from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go across the screen and ask everybody to do a short introduction. We usually say, as I usually say, my name's Eric Peterson. I'm from Carmel, Indiana, and I model an O-scale 2-rail and CSX and predecessors back to steam. And then just a couple words about what's on your workbench or a current layout project. Right now, I'm putting down polymeric sand for scenery and ballast and doing a 3D printed passenger station. So is my audio still okay, David?
Yes.
Okay. Jer Ingram is in the upper left-hand corner of my screen, so I'm going to start with Jer. Jerry, what's your, tell us a little bit about you and kind of a 2-minute drill here.
Okay, 2-minute drill. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox about the absence of product in 2-rail O-scale. Currently, I've gotten into 2-rail O-scale because working in HO, my eyesight was starting to fail a little bit. O-scale provides a far larger, object to work on, to say the least. I've narrowed my focus to transition era ATSF equipment. That's F units and steam. I have a question. Is there anybody out there that has some experience with older sunset 3rd rail, 2-rail F units? I have 2 on the workbench. Neither one of them run. They had the older QSI decoders in them, since it was 2-rail. And what I've run into is that, sometimes I can read the decoder, sometimes I can't. I've been, checking the power pickups, like connections, and I got to tell you, that board that they put in there, thank you, Scott, is more complicated than anything I've ever seen. And I recognize that they did that because they wanted to be able to sell in the 3-rail community as well as the 2-rail community. So if there's anybody out there that's had some experience with that particular run of equipment, specifically the F units that were marketed, I think, by Sunset somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s, that can provide some help, I'd appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. So if somebody has some help for Jerry, please contact him or provide your information in the chat so we can keep going here. If that's okay with you, Jerry?
Works for me.
Okay, Jeff Thornton's the next one across the top of my list.
Hi, Jeff Thornton, West Michigan. I was very heavily involved with O-Scale about 20 years ago with the Detroit Union Club and other clubs. I have since had a child, scaled back on the O-Scale 2-rail immensely. My favorite O-Scale stuff was the Atlas little industrial switchers that weighed a ton. Love those things. The All Nation switcher and anything Red Caboose or P&D. But I've scaled back on the 2-rail immensely due to constraints in area, and I have gone hog wild for ON30, and absolutely love it. And that is predominantly what I do. It's about all I do. The O-Scale 2-rail, the O-Scale full size is pretty much in boxes. Currently on the workbench is a mogul that I am cutting, trimming off the boiler, taking off the front driver, and turning into a beefy porter. So doing some kit bashing there because those moguls are all over, and I could buy them today at a train show for $20 for a locomotive and tender. With the if anybody remembers the series that Bachman did with Budweiser, Coca-Cola, and all those, you can pick those up cheap, and at cheap you can start ripping and tearing and not feel bad about it, and I love it. So moving on. Thanks, Eric.
By the way, O-Scale Central is launching an initiative to reach out to the narrow gauge community, 3 foot, 30 inches, 2 foot, and so on. Right now, Joe Norman and Ken Nesper are doing that, and we have there's some folks that we will also involve that have been referred by Jim Kello. So we are aware of the fact that there is a larger slice of the hobby out there that we need to get to. We did have had an expansion into traction, and we intend to do that with narrow gauge as well.
All right, very good. Thanks, Jeff. Daniel Rabel is next across the top of my screen.
Hello, this is Daniel. How y'all doing?
Hi, Dan.
I primarily model early interurban wooden. So I do a lot of scratch building or kit bashing of old LaBelle kits. There's a lot of missing pieces in those old kits, notably the pilots and people catchers. So that got me into 3D printing. So I've been developing pilots and fenders for those for some time, and offer them to people who need them. So that's most of my work. And then as far as steam and diesel transition era, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, at least the area generally. So nickel plate is kind of my home base there. I will be at the O-Scale show in Cleveland next weekend. I've been working on a diorama of the Cuyahoga approach. So that's what's on my bench. That was served by the nickel plate as well as the New York Central, Erie going eastbound, and also the Baltimore and Ohio. So there's a little preview of that last weekend. I brought it to the Nickel Plate Historical Society, but maybe I'll pop some. Can we put pictures in the chat? Is it possible to upload pictures to that? I could maybe.
I think so. It's
I'll try to-
something certainly worth exploring.
Let's see.
So if you want
I'll
to
see if that
separately
pops
try
up
and do
there.
that.
Yeah. All right.
Very good.
Maybe that's loading
Thank you.
for you or not. But that's if it did. Hall
okay.
of Fame or Ball of Flame, we'll see. Those are the
Okay.
Cleveland
Sounds-
Union Terminal catenary towers where the heavy electrics pulled the steamers in and out up to 1952. And then, of course, dieselization made that no longer necessary, although they still exist today. And if you ride the rapid transit to downtown Cleveland, you'll go under wire under those same towers, which is pretty cool. So been 3D printing all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I'll have that at the on display at the upcoming O-Scale show locally in Cleveland. And I'll have some other tidbit stuff I've been working on. I've got some GE 44 tonner headlights with the visors. Those are unique to the nickel plate, and several other lines had those, not many. R250 Mars lights. And again, because nickel plate's my jam, I've got some detail parts that are unique to the nickel plate, notably all of the ornate trim work on their depots. I've been 3D printing, including the windows. So that's me in a nutshell.
good.
That's what I'm working on.
Very good. Next is Dennis Brennan going across my screen. Dennis, you got anything you want to add, or what's on your workbench?
Well, what's on my workbench is a new kit. I've got an electrical substation coming out, but I'm still waiting for parts for my laser cutter. So, and I have a couple pilot models, but I don't have it right here with me.
Very good.
So that's what's on my workbench.
Sounds
Would this
good.
be a good opportunity to introduce your new
Yes.
manufacturer, sort of taking it out of line? I want to make sure that
Yeah.
we get everybody introduced.
All right. Yeah, this would be a good time. I'd like to introduce a gentleman I've worked with on a large layout in Florida. That's how we got introduced. His name is Andrew from Model Railroad Bench Work. And Andrew can tell you about himself. He does incredible work. So take it away, Andrew.
How you doing, guys? So yeah, as you said, my name is Andrew. I run a little business called modelrailroadbenchwork.com. I've been doing that for about 14 years now. I met Dennis actually in 2018, 2019, and we ended up working on a 12 by 44 O-scale 3-rail layout. It actually turned out incredible. Dennis does incredible work. But since that time, we've kind of bounced work back and forth and ideas and working on different things. And so we keep him busy in that respect. But my main focus is bench work, as you might imagine. So I'm kind of along the lines of Sievers or Miami. So I build sectional bench work that you can kind of bolt together in whatever shape or form you might need. But I also build custom bench work as well as custom layouts, and that's kind of my bread and butter. More recently, I've started getting into detail products. For example, cork. I kind of ran into a situation about 6 months ago where I couldn't find it, and I got really, really annoyed by it. So I ended up starting to make it myself because I'm not really a big fan of the foam cork alternative that's out there now. It's not a great product in my opinion. But anyway, I just kind of figured I'd pop in here, check it out, see what you guys are about. I have actually built a 2-rail O layout in the past. It was a gentleman by the name of Andy Healy. Unfortunately, he passed not too long after I built the layout, but it was actually one of the more enjoyable layouts I've ever built, and hopefully I'll get to build another one someday, but we'll see what happens.
What's your website?
You can reach my website in a bunch of different ways. So modelrailroadbenchwork.com is the original. Mr. Benchwork is a lot shorter. So mrbenchwork.com. You can also go to curvedbenchwork.com. And there's a bunch of others, but I'll spare you the time.
Thank you.
Andrew, very good. Why don't
Welcome.
you send through our contact page on the front page? Why don't you send us your contact information and we'll work to get you up on the product guide.
Will do. Thank you very much.
All right, next, going across my screen is Carl Sorensen.
Hello, everyone. I am a second generation O-scaler, as I've mentioned in the past. Still working on my Sunset E units, converting one Pennsylvania to Union Pacific. I know that makes several of you shudder, but I apologize. Still love it. The motor car behind me, I did a motor car trip the following week after the last O-scale Zoom meeting. And it is still in my plans and developing into going to be a 3D product, or not a product. It would be, for me, basically make an operating O-scaler, O-scale speeder. I am a dead railer, so also working on setting up track outside. However, winter is starting to set in over here. See, I don't know how much more I have much to say.
Very good.
So that's about,
You're
I'm
out in the-
doing a couple baggage cars, O-scale 72-foot baggage cars. Other than that, I think that's all I had.
Okay, and you're out in Idaho someplace based on your moniker there.
Yes, there are, I think 4 or 5 O-scalers in the Treasure Valley, and I'm on the far west end, so I don't get to see them that much. And 2 of them are Proto 48, so they are excellent modelers. They both got their MMR now. So
Very good. Very good. David, you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself and what you're working on? David Vaughn.
Sure. I'm David Vaughn. I live in Clarksville, Maryland. I model primarily nickel plate 2-rail O-scale, and I have a portion of John Armstrong's layout reconfigured and integrated with 2 other layouts. So I have a fair amount of Canandaigua Southern. I inherited access to John Armstrong's plans, photographs, and project notes. And right now I have under development a model of his articulated freelanced covered hopper that he called the Cementipede. And that project has evolved. When I originally was looking at it 5 years ago now, we were talking about doing it in brass. That is no longer viable. Then we talked about doing it in resin. And we've now hit on, and it's now going into production on 3D printing. And I can't tell you how excited I am for our scale to know that 3D printing is coming along. 3D printing basically reduces by about 90% the tooling required to get a project off the ground. The minimum order goes away if you're 3D printing it, and the need to carry inventory goes away. It is going to be beautiful, and I'm looking forward to really showing the project off of the Cementipede.
When is it going to be available, David?
Say again?
When is it going to be available?
Well, the guy, I'm hoping by the end of the year. The guy who is doing them is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and he wound up with no water and no electricity for 17 days straight. So things are a little bit backed up there, but he is now back and running, and is hoping to have full production within the next couple of weeks. But then you got a lot of pulling together the parts and pieces and so on. But it's an exciting project.
Very good. Jim Cantor's next on my list here. Jim?
Hi, Eric. It's nice talking to everyone. And first of all, I want to thank David Vaughn for his hard work and commitment to changing the name to O-Scale Central. David has traveled the country promoting O-Scale and spending a whole lot of his own time and effort and finances just to make this a wonderful group. And David, I personally want to thank you for all your work. I didn't say anything earlier, because I wanted everyone else to jump in. So I'm going to be first of many that will give you a real pat on the back for everything that you've done. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
On my workbench, I've been working on a military train. And if someone out there has a laser printer and can assist in printing some decks for red caboose flat cars, I could sure use your help. The next thing that I'd like to do is also thank Joe Norman for his O-Scale show. I heard it was a real success a couple of weeks ago. Joe, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I had 3 other commitments. Had to choose one of the 3. It was a coin flip. Coin landed on its side. And so I made a decision. Actually, it landed on its edge. So that was the decision I made. But Eric, that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Jim. Greg Villano, you're next on my list.
Yep, Greg Vigiano in Alexandria, Virginia. I also wanted to request everybody on the call, if you have suggestions for programming, let me put my email in the chat, and you can email me directly so we can put them in place. So I model Santa Fe and specifically the Super Chief around 45 to 1950, and right now my workbench is trying to produce a tree. Can you see this?
No, it doesn't come up with you having the background.
Oh yeah, let me turn off the background. So I've done some 3D printing, and can you guys see this now?
Wow.
Yes. Okay, so I created a model of a tree, and I was kind of unhappy with the existing trees that are out there because it didn't really show the surface texture and the bark. So I made a model and 3D printed it yesterday. I'll put it in close so maybe you can see the texture on the bark.
Outstanding.
Cool. And the next step, I was kind of inspired by Ken Kime at the program at Strasbourg, who did like the static foliage and static grass. So I wanted to see if I could actually create a realistic looking tree and then put the foliage on it with the static process. 3D printing is amazing, as David said, because you can take this one tree and make like lots of different variations and heights. Now this is basically a 7-inch tree. Unfortunately, so that means it's a little under 30 scale feet. But unfortunately, it took 26 hours to print. So that's it from me.
Take longer for nature.
It's true.
Very good. How exciting to see some of the things that come up just asking people what's on their workbench. That is really exciting, and we're rooting for you to get your production velocity increased dramatically. So, sounds good. Al Askerberg is next on my list here.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I model a fictional scale short line 2-rail in 1951 vintage, and it's pretty much done except for a couple of spots where I need to finish the background. And I'm not an operator, so I don't run it. I enjoy building scenery and dioramas and models. And I'll mention one. It's no longer on my workbench. I finished it, but I was reminded by somebody who today said they liked the little Atlas Plymouth switchers, and I took one of those and made a styrene box cab, and I now have a box cab switcher, and it's really cool, and it runs really well, and it's heavy, and so it pulls, and it cost me $10 plus a little bit of styrene. So Otherwise, I don't have anything currently on my workbench. I'm from Columbus, Indiana, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Al. Always great to hear what you're up to. Rich Randall's next on my screen here.
Hello,
There he
I'm
is.
Rich Randall in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm modeling the Milwaukee Road at Avery, Idaho, 2-rail O-scale DCC. On my bench, I'm building a battery-powered SD45. And formerly on the bench, now on the layout is a 8-foot section of trolley track that I just put together. And that's about it for now.
Very good. Thanks, Rich. Joe Barker.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Barker. I'm also the membership director. If you have any questions about your membership in O-Scale Central or you want to join, you can contact me at membership@oscalecentral.com. And I am both a 3-rail modeler and a 2-rail modeler. I primarily, when I want to operate my 2-rail equipment, I go to one of the 2 clubs here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm a member of a 3-rail outdoor club. And on most of my 2-rail equipment, I'm slowly converting it to battery so I can run it on my 3-rail layout without any issues. And I really like battery power. It really works well. And that's what I've got on my workbench. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe. Scott is next on my list here.
Hi, Scott Kurzowski. I live in Austin, Texas. I model 2-rail Santa Fe, modern Santa Fe, the blue and yellow and the red and silver war bonnets. And I also do CNC machining and brass investment casting as a little side hustle. My website is bendtheirons.com, and I also maintain the O-Scale Central website as a team of other members. You know, Eric being one of them, Dan Doughty being another. So we have a nice little team where we keep the website going and current.
Very good. Thanks, Scott.
Thank
Aaron
you.
Herberts is next on my screen.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Aaron Huberts. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I can see a couple familiar faces there, Jim and Paul and a few others, but I model Union Pacific steam engines, and I do everything from just a little bit of touch-up work out of the box to full-blown brass builds and painting, weathering type stuff. So do some drive work, custom work, stuff like that for the hobby and stuff. But want to thank O-Scale Central because I'm kind of at this point in the hobby thanks to you guys, even though you don't know it. I had the hardest time figuring out how to do a couple things and found the articles online that Gary Schrader had written. And it was like an open door on how to do this stuff. So with that knowledge, it has dramatically impacted my abilities in the hobby here. And I've really enjoyed it. Most of the stuff I build is brass stuff. For example, I did a 10-car Chemtron brass kits, painted and weathered. And I do all the steam engines and stuff. So I'd love to show you the workbench, but I spent the better part of the morning packing away stuff because we are going to be here for a short time longer, and we're going to be heading down to Tennessee. So the plan is down there to build a train building and get up a railroad and all sorts of other stuff. So right now I'm just working on trying to get all that done.
I know the feeling. We've moved multiple times, and good luck with that.
Thank
it's
you.
An opportunity for a fresh start. So
thank you.
Andy Brusca Guard is next on my screen.
Andy Bruscott, I'm out of Jersey, 52-year member of the New York Society, and right now my workbench is hardly anything because I've been working at the club since June on rebuilding our trolley line. The Jersey City section of the trolley line was built about 40 years ago. At the time, they used nickel silver wire on the overhead, and the wire over the years has been becoming very brittle. We finally stripped out all the wiring last April, and they left it to me to put it back in. And I've been working on that. And what happened was the other two fellows in the trolley group decided that we wanted to connect the interurban side to the city side so they could bring the interurban cars into the city. And I wound up having to rebuild about 7 single point switches for them. But that's what I've been working on for the last, since June.
Well, we're certainly glad to hear that you're not bored or without things to be working on. That's quite an undertaking, and it's interesting that
2 days a week I'm up there doing working on the layout, on trolley layout. Much to the annoyance of my wife.
Yeah, the contact wire you talked about was, did you say stainless or
no, the overhead contact wire was nickel silver.
Nickel silver. That's interesting that it flexed enough to become brittle over time.
Yeah, well, it's been really in for 40. It's been in there for 40 years, we estimate, and mostly at the joints, the solder joints. The last show, the last show it broke in 4 different locations during the show. The 4th time it broke, it was in a location that there's no way I could get at it during the show. It's basically in the middle of the scenery and everything. And that's when we decided it had to come out, and we're doing now phosphor bronze wire in there.
Okay, very good. Interesting. I have a blank screen with the name Brian on it. So Brian, it's your turn. All right, moving on. Skylar's next on my screen. Skylar, what's your workbench besides all your other things?
Yeah, besides all the other administrative duties. The one project that I'm trying to get done before the NMRA National next July in our area is we're replicating as much as we can the Montreal River Dam Bridge on the Algoma Central. So in the chat, I've got 2 pictures. The one's the location of the basement, and the other picture is of one of the trusses. Now, that's about 20 hours worth of work just assembling it. When I 3D printed that, it's just the lacing that's 3D printed. I used a C-channel from Plastrect, and then Evergreen Mills sheet for the plates. So that's a 6-inch height version. I plan to have 2 of those, 2 1-foot tall sections, and then 2 2-foot tall sections. So when you walk to the bottom of the stairs, you're wowed. So
very good.
That's planned for July.
Yep, and the pictures did come through in the chat, and it shows I could download them even. So that works. We learn new technology all the time. Yep.
Certainly.
David
You
Schultz.
download that.
Yep. David Schultz.
Good evening, everybody. I'm David Schultz from basically Duluth, Minnesota. I model the Northern Pacific in Proto 48 2-rail. And right now on my workbench, I've got 3 RS-11s that are in various stages of rebuild.
Okay.
Who did the RS-11s?
They're all OMIs, all 3 of them.
Very good. Next on my screen is I am Walker.
Hello there.
There you go.
Yeah, this is Leon Walker from Noblesville, Indiana. I'm currently in north central Illinois and visiting relatives, and I just joined the meeting. I've been an O-scale modeler since Atlas brought in their F9, but divided my time between HO and O-scale. And sold all my HO stuff now, and so the last 20 years I've been O-scale 2-rail, and I model anything that ran in and out of Peoria, Illinois, with a heavy interest on Rock Island and the Burlington and Illinois Central, and a sprinkle of Milwaukee. And my current 2 projects on the workbench are 2 scratch built a Burlington NE12 Way car, that's the one with the slanted cupola, and an Illinois Central side door steel caboose. So that was my first foray, I guess, into full scale scratch building, kind of egged on by Malcolm Bird on Facebook. I don't know if anybody follows Malcolm, but he's a terrific modeler, and I'm trying to get only half as good as he is.
All right, very good. Thanks, Leon. Wally Rogers is next on my screen. Okay, doesn't have a decent microphone. We'll soon be working on a Durham Lambert H1044.
Yeah.
So we are a resourceful group and able to communicate. Thank you, Wally, very much. Joe Norman.
There we go. I'm Joe Norman. I'm treasurer of O-Scale Central. I'm in Oklahoma City, and my workbench is a figurative rather than literal. Until last week, my big project was the Southwest O-Scale meet, which turned out to be very successful. Sorry you couldn't make it, Jim Cantor. You missed a good show. And one of the highlights of our show was we had a audio visual people remembering George Wallace, which George was, I think many of you knew George Wallace. And we wanted to make sure that he received some recognition. If you're not aware, he did pass away in May of this year. And we also honored Brady McGuire, who passed away just a month or so ago. Brady's been a longtime O-scaler, a Pennsylvania fan, and we're all going to miss him. My other project, I'm involved with the Oklahoma Model Railroad Museum, and we're in the process of doing the electrical work and wiring. It's going to be a DCC and LCC layout. And if any of you have spent any time with that, it can get frustrating, particularly on a large layout. And we've been spending the last week or two trying to trace down shorts. So it's been exciting.
All right, well, keep at it, Sparky. John Eckelman.
Did you request me?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm John Eicherman. I live in Pullman, Washington. Right now, I want to build a 2-rail O-scale switching layout just to have some fun switching cars around and nothing too big. So hope to get started on that hopefully in the next few months. But yeah, I just love the massiveness of 2-rail O-scale, and it just looks great. So it's just fun. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Paul Hansen.
Paul Haynes, Southeast Indianapolis. I am modeling the Indiana Railroad post-coal era. And the next thing on my workbench is, I don't know if this shows up, Atlas train station that I picked up at Strasbourg. I call this my nostalgia project because I originally built it in HO as a teenager. So now it comes full circle back to O-scale.
Very good. Doug Judah.
Yep. Hi, my name is Doug Junda. For you don't know, I own San Juan Model Company and Grant Line, and have recently taken over BK Classic Miniatures and Trout Creek Engineering from Cliff Mistel. For those of you who don't know, Cliff passed away about a month ago. So I've taken over his product line and bringing it into the stuff I'm doing and trying to get things spun up there and taking some of the O-scale structures and kind of redoing them and bringing them into a laser cut area of the kits now instead of being just a bunch of wood in the box. So we're upgrading the kits that way. My latest project is right behind me. This week I moved from Cliff's location a narrow gauge boxcar and set of trucks that I'm going to be moving eventually to my house here in Leadville, Colorado. Currently, it is now residing in Como, Colorado, in their rail yard. So that was my last week of work. That's about was on my workbench. Thanks.
Hey, Doug, meet
Yes.
Dennis. Meet Dennis Brennan,
Yep.
who is our manufacturer liaison now. And you and he need to have a long conversation. And by the way, I think it's great that all the stuff you're doing. It's
Thank you.
terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
Doug, and we will.
I saw his number on the chat, and I will reach out to him sometime this week.
Terrific.
That would be great, Doug, and keep thinking about, give us any information you want to update on the product guide on O-Scale Central. You can just send it to me and we can get it over to Scott, or anything we can do to get you updated.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the O-Scale Western Pacific and the Fowler boxcar back into production. I'm working with PBL on the tooling, and some of it has to be cleaned up and redone. So we're trying to get those back into production so they'll be available again.
Very good. I've got a black square with Pam Larson. So do we have Pam helping us today?
Pam is my wife, and sadly, she passed away about just a month ago today. So I no longer have interest payments to pay for the mortgage on the railroad that she gave me. And she supported me in all my railroad hobbies. We traveled all the country. So my workbench project now is to clean the railroad, which hasn't been operated since the first of the year. And it being O-scale, I fired it up and it just ran just like a clock, even though it had been ignored for 8 months.
So
Congratulations.
sorry about your
wife.
loss.
Yes. Yes. I have a picture of a bridge with a Scott T for a name.
Yeah, my name is Scott Thornton and I'm from Ames, Iowa. And I'm interested in modeling some smaller O-scale modules, take to the RPMs, and it's going to be a proto freelance line that I'm interested in. So it's going to be real minimal, but I'm just enamored by the scale. So that's what I'm going to be up to.
Very good. Make sure you're communicating with Rich Randall and Skylar Shippey about modules. They have quite a bit of experience and effort on providing information.
Okay.
Phil Taylor.
Yeah, I've been mostly working on a benchwork design, which I've just about got finalized. And so that will be using Ivar. Ivar bookcase is an idea I stole from Bernie Kopinski, but he was gracious about letting me use it. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I'm also looking at an old aluminum hopper kit, but that's a different issue. So benchwork's the big thing right now.
Where are you located, Phil?
I am outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, about an hour west of Richmond and 2 hours south of the Beltway, roughly.
Very good. Thank you. Barry Katana is next on my list. Sorry if I butchered your name, Barry.
Yeah, hi, it's Barry Kataya. I live in the Chicago metropolitan area, and I'm an armchair O-scale sort of collector modeler. I built up a collection of Chicago area brass and urban and trolley equipment back in the 80s and 90s. And it was put away for a while. And within the last couple of years, I started renewing my collection of N-scale, replacing the old mechanisms that with, late release locomotives and cars. And I have a shelf layer in N-scale. And one of these days, I'll get the O-scale stuff out there, put some DCC in, and finally run it.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Sure.
Lots going on in Chicago, and there's some other people in Chicago looking at hobby and very old stuff in O-scale. So good place to be. I have a square with Chaplik PC as a name. All right, anybody else that I missed? Tried to run the screens here. I thought that was a really good discussion and learned a lot about people, and it's going to be interesting when we have a directory that can share with everybody so you can see who lives next door or in the next town. It's also modeling in O-scale, so that's coming. David, that's the intros and the workbenches.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. And thank everybody who shared with us. This is a great hobby. It's a great scale. And it's always interesting how many people are doing so many different projects, each enjoying it as we can. We are trying to keep the length of the programs under control. Much appreciate your patience in that regard. Usually we run behind. A couple of things. Number one, there are 26 entries in the chat right now, including some answers to questions that were raised and some other interesting projects. I'll leave the screen open for a while so people have the chance to look at that. If you need to communicate with anyone and did not get a email address, you can email me at president@oscalecentral.com, and I will get the entry routed to the right person. That's on the website, and it's in the Contact Us section. And for things like event listings, by all means, reach out through the website, and you'll eventually get to Scott K, who can make whatever adjustments need to be made. Our next month's program is going to be on November 17th. And as I indicated, our headliner on that will be Tony Custer. Tony is former editor of Railroad Model Craftsman, author of Trains of Thought for Model Railroader, a thoroughly accomplished model railroader. And although most of the world knows him as an HO scaler, he has had a persistent O-scale itch that he likes to scratch. Most recently, he is working on a project railroad, 4-model railroader, and it's going to be in O-scale, Proto 48, and it's that famous Wabash branch line that had the 2 old moguls. And so he has a well-developed PowerPoint to go on about this project, and is going to be telling us about it next month. We will have a couple of other features. I think it may be useful to go ahead and hear back from All Nation. John Wubble is doing some very interesting things right now, and I think would probably like to share them with us. So we will have a full program next month. You will be, if you got the invitation for this one, you will get the one for next month as well. And finally, coming up will be the Cleveland O-Scale two-rail show. And that show has been badly in need of an update. And Skylar Shippey, who on top of his many other projects is going to be is the head of that revitalized show. And before we get out of here, and as a last announcement, Skylar, if you are still on, and I know you had some other stuff to do, if you're still on, give us the specifics on the Cleveland O-Scale show.
Yeah, so this year the show is 2 days, being November 2nd and 3rd next weekend. Dealer setup for those that are dealers will be 8 o'clock, and the show doors open at 11, and it goes till 4. On Saturday, I've got 3 different presentations by 3 different individuals. I'll have the modular layout set up, hopefully running most of the time. And Sunday, show opens at 9, runs till 1. Here's the interesting thing. For anybody interested in modules, questions about modules, the perfect timing would be when we start tearing down the modular layout. So if you have any questions, hang out till about 1:15. When I start tearing it apart and packing it away, most of your questions should be answered. So looking forward to the show. I'm in the process of prepping a new trailer that I just bought, new enclosed trailer. So looking forward to the trip. See y'all there.
Thank you, Skylar. Appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody who is presently a officer or an advisor to the organization. We've got a great group of people. We'd love to have your participation, first as a member, and then consider becoming a part of O-Scale Central leadership. The projects that we work on, the resources we have are really a function of our leadership. We've had great luck building a good team. We are always looking for more. It's a very open organization. What's the old line? You know, it's amazing how much you can get accomplished if everybody gets out of the way and is not worried about who gets the credit for it. So we would welcome you. Come in through the website, communicate through the contact us, and happy railroading in two-rail O-Scale. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. I'll leave the meeting open for a little while so people can get your notes on the chat. And Eric, you had a question, a comment.
I have one comment, and that is to my appreciation of everything that David Vaughn has done for the organization. I didn't even know him when I got involved with O-Scale Central, and we've become great partners in a wide variety of conspiracies involving this organization. And it's just great to have another great friend through the O-Scale community. We got a lot done, and there's more to do, but we have a great team. And obviously today we have a great bunch of people here interested in the hobby. Thank you, David. Just great.
Thank you all. All right. Thank you. We are adjourned. I'm going to leave the screen open for a while so people can take notes on the chat room. And if anybody's got any just cross chatter that you didn't get to during the meeting, we'll stay on. And if you got a question or a comment, you can continue. But the meeting itself is over. Look forward to seeing you guys on November 17. Featured presenter will be Tony Custer about his new O-Scale two-rail layout. Thank you.
Very good.
Got a question for Skylar.
Yeah.
You were talking that you were going to have the some design in that for the modules on the O-Scale Central. Did it ever make it over to O-Scale Central? Last time I looked, I didn't see it.
No, I haven't got a chance to send that over. This summer has been a trifecta of things going on. Most notably, speaking of the passing of individuals, Paul Gribble of Chi-Town Union Station, he passed in January. So he had bought a grocery store, which is about 10,000 square feet, and then had all renovated, worked on the building for a year, and then he created the largest privately owned O-scale railroad. Well, between July and August, that was taken apart, and that took a lot of my time from that. So, needless to say, I haven't had a free weekend. I barely had time to enjoy off. Like the Nickel Plate convention was the only time that I had to spend outside of this. Of course, I was answering emails and stuff for the Cleveland show. But no, to get back to the modules, I plan on making a PDF. I'm not going to make a drawing of each module we have, but just the description of each and the proposed standard that I have. So it utilized the NMRA recommendation of the first track center from the edge being 6 inches from the edge. And then the next dimension of what's the second track, that's kind of been up in the air. But what we built, what I'm going to recommend is we do 4.5 inch centers. That could morph into only being on the curves, and you need a transition piece, and you can use 4 inch on straights. But at least for anybody that's interested in building stuff now, I'm going to recommend 4.5 inch centers. So, no, I want to get that uploaded. I need the presentation uploaded as well. Actually, good reminder. So I'm going to write that down because between November 12th and the 28th, I'll have a few free days. So write that down.
I'll be sure to breathe. Was sorry to hear about Chi-Town. I saw pictures of the O-scale resource, and being a UP passenger train fan, seeing that one locomotive from above really looked more like N-scale than O-scale. Was very nicely done. Sorry I never got to get up there.
Yeah. I think Paul had, was it 4 key UP passenger locomotives, and he had that train for decades. Amazing.
Well, I'm sorry to see that Jerry dropped off. I was going to bring to his attention the YouTube channel Norm's Trains. I watched numerous videos before it finally dawned on me that it's actually a 3-rail layout. This guy has got an unbelievable, huge, the modeling, the landscaping, the structures, the weathering on the engines. I don't know any Lionel people that weathers their engines. This guy weathers everything, but this guy adapted. I mean, lack of things available in 2-rail. The only alternative is go to 3-rail if if your skills aren't into scratch building or if you don't want to spend a lot of time doing that. Norm's Trains on YouTube. And I hope he is going to be on the NMRA layout tours also, because he's in Monroe, Michigan, and it's just an unbelievable layout. So if anybody hasn't not familiar with it, I encourage you, because his landscaping and buildings and weathering is phenomenal. He's not a toy train guy.
Hey, Skylar,
Yeah, Paul.
can you call me tonight when you get a chance?
Yep.
Need to talk about your name.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll give you a call about I don't know, 6:30.
Okay.
6:37.
Giving Paul Hansen a little plug here. He was the driving force on the recent Indianapolis O-scale show, and it's good to see a show back in Indy that left a bit of a hole when there was a gap. But thank you, Paul.
On that note, it was so successful, we're going to do it again next year, the same weekend.
What's the weekend for next year?
19th.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at my name badge from the Indy show.
That was a gamble because they didn't want to confirm until after the show was over. So I just took a chance, and they had no problem renewing it.
Terrific. All right, if there's nothing else and everybody has had an opportunity to get to the chat and look at the 30 entries, I'm gonna close the program here in just a minute or two after I get a chance to look at the chats.
Used to be able to save them, but something changed and they can't do it anymore that I can find.
Very good. Well, thank you all. Appreciate your participation, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next month. November 17, Tony Custer's the headliner.
Sounds
Take
good.
care.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.